Hey, Donna.
Hey everybody, Donna Fisher here, Naglaa and I. We're doing another video about whatever spirit wants to guide us to talk about. So I think we're going to focus today on relationships and sacred partnerships and how this awakening that's happening all over the world, how that's actually shifting relationships and the templates that we came accustomed to for a long time, and how they are falling apart and how new partnerships are being formed. So I think we're just going to go with the flow. We said we're just going to pull some cards, and how we got to this is the first card that I pulled was the True Love card. So that's what we're going to talk about, true love. So I know my feeling and my thoughts about this, and I feel like this has kind of been a long time coming. What do you think, Naglaa? I mean, this is kind of what we've been preparing for the last, I don't know, you and I probably 7 years, no, 8 years actually, since 2012 when we were awakened. And we're actually been the forerunners to, I guess energetically extend relationships to where they need to be, because they weren't in a, they were more of a based in the karmic patterns and three-dimensional conditional love patterns, instead of having this unconditional love frequency that we're ascending to. So what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly like what you said. Because I feel some of us, like, and pretty much all of us have been in those kinds of relationships that are called karmic in type, or unaligned with your soul kind of type. I mean, it's kind of still what your soul needs to experience, but it is not your ultimate or your desired state of being in those relationships. So we came in with these kinds of templates that we're meant to heal. And, for some of us, we started on that path where we are into the divine union path, into divine or sacred relationships, whether you want to call it twin flame, soul bond kind of relationships or connections, where we come to experience what it means to have unconditional love and heal our egos enough to be able to be aligned with this kind of vibration or frequency of a connection. So I feel, as like what you said, we've been preparing for that because we've been working tirelessly, many of us, into like really healing ourselves to understand that. And we're seeing with all the shifts happening right now, and even with the quarantine, or with the isolation mode that many relationships have to be facing each other like now. So we're seeing things happen. Many connections are breaking down, many relationships are breaking down, and some are actually becoming even more committed to each other and being more loving towards each other. So that's a major shift too. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to pull some cards to see where we're heading with that and what we can channel with it.
So I just also wanted to say that in order to have this unconditional love for somebody, it starts with yourself. So I know when I started back in 2012, and I'm going to keep talking about my experience because that's all I really can go by. When I first started this out, I mean, I was really still heavily ingrained in the energies that were at that time still within me. So once I started really working on myself and doing my inner healing and shedding those ego patterns, I started to loving myself more. And the more that I loved myself and loved everything about myself, I was able to share that with other people. So the relationship that, the relationships that I was in started kind of falling apart for the ones that weren't supposed to be in my life anymore, because I wasn't aligned in that energy frequency anymore. And sometimes they need to fall away in order for new to come in. And then some people are meant to not be in our lives for a while. It could just be a temporary thing. I think that the more that we evolve, the more that we'll see who's meant to stay in our lives and who wasn't meant to be in our lives. but you know, we all have this soul partner. We all have this other soul that was created for us in this time that we're at right now, because we're in a big awakening right now. You know, and like I said, some of us have started this already, you know, to kind of be the forerunners, to prepare the energy for people who are actually starting to awaken just now. And, you know, we've prepared the way to hopefully make things easier for everybody else that are actually, you know, starting to starting in their energy shift, because it wasn't an easy road. It wasn't, you know, it was something that really required a lot of focus and energy, and really taking the time to actually go within and heal those wounds that we've had, not only our own wounds from childhood, things that we could actually be consciously aware of, but those things that we may not even been aware of, you know, that were still within us, but we knew that they existed because we were triggered by certain things. And when you are no longer triggered by certain things and events that maybe you were triggered by before, you know that you've healed those things. So I think I just kind of wanted to say that it does start with yourself, and you have to love yourself, and you can only love another person as much as you love yourself, you know? And it's not a codependency kind of love. It really isn't. We're not going to be in those kind of relationships that, you know, used to, you know, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, I will fulfill this need and you fulfill that need. And there's this kind of like partnership that way. It's not like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be free. It's going to be, you know, not meaning that you're going to be with 100 different people. I mean, that's not what I mean, but it's going to be like where you have this card came up, you have full trust. You have full trust in this person, that, you know, you allow them freedom to be who they are, to do what they want to do, and to know that they're always going to be there and with you. It's not a matter of feeling like, you know, jealousy or, you know, insecurity, or, you know, feeling like you're not worth the love that you so deserve. So it's going to be more fulfilling. It's going to feel like it's an equal partnership, and it's, you know, where there's no conditions or expectations placed on the other person, that you love everything about them. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to break templates, you know, these templates that have been so ingrained in our societies, wherever we are, you know, wherever we come from. We have certain templates, meaning like for a man or a woman to be together, or for two people love each other to be together, we have to go through a checklist of things that will make, you know, things that that we have to have so we can have a good relationship. But a lot of these, you know, a lot of the items on those checklists are not really important to the soul. Like we look at maybe your spiritual or religious upbringing, maybe your ethnicity, your age, your financial background, you know, all material things. And it's interesting when you're talking, I was pulling cards, and the card that fell for me is the man holding coin, and the bottom of the deck is actually woman holding coin. So this is about our masculine, divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy. What the material changes that we're going through, and the aspects of our material life that we are changing, how we look at what we give to the other person to make us happy, or what we give in terms to make us worthy of being loved. So we are here to really go through all that, you know, and heal the things within us that, for example, like a lot of women, maybe, and I'm just giving examples, like if a man doesn't do, you know, maybe doesn't give you flowers and doesn't say happy, you know, all these different aspects, or he doesn't bring you gifts and, you know, financial things, if he's not providing that for you, then he's not proving to you that he loves you. And the same thing for a woman. If a woman, you know, from maybe a man's perspective, a woman is not doing specific things, then she does part of where, we're heading, what we're looking into and what we're healing. So definitely like having that balance between our both divine masculine energies within us and the divine feminine energy within us. And there's so much more that comes with these two cards too. So I feel it's like the way we look at each other, and it's not really gender specific. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty hard with the background here, but it's how we look at love in general that we're really changing right now.
Yeah, while you were talking, I got this card. It's the 10 of Gabriel. It says, ask your angels for helpful people to lighten your load, working too many hours, trying too hard to please others. So, basically what you were talking about, and big part of this is going to be balance. It's going to be, the old relationships, the way it was is that people were so busy, people were too busy for each other, a lot of, especially divine masculine energies were very heavily ingrained in their work. And they were, it was instilled in them that they had to be the providers of the family and make the money and support, the family. So I feel like that's kind of changing. That's kind of shifting, that there has to be more of a balance, that there's really no need for somebody to work 80 hours a week. Really, there has to be a balance between work and play. And there has to be a balance between your relationships too. So if you aren't balanced and you're just focused on one thing, you're really not living your full life, because there's so many aspects of life here that we're supposed to be living. And having meaningful relationships is a big part of our ascension process. And also, feeling like you have to always please others is another thing that we're breaking, because the only thing that holds us back from us having the best life is ourselves. And if we constantly feel like we have to do things for other people in order for us to feel good, what's that saying about us? And I'm not saying that you have to be selfish, because it's really not about that. We are here for everybody else. We're here to be, to show love, to be loved. But again, it's got to start with yourself, and it's got to be in a place that you're coming from love and not from your ego. Because if you feel like you're always have that savior mentality, like, you have to, in order to feel good, you have to save somebody else, that's coming from ego primarily. That's not really coming from love, because eventually you will drain yourself, because you're constantly looking at, that's more of a codependency role. It's kind of like that thing that you're actually feeling like, you're only going to be able to feel good if you make other people feel good, but you're really not feeling good yourself. So it's kind of having that balance. You really definitely have to have balance. And they're saying it's like, you don't have to work hard. It's just saying trying too hard to please others. You really shouldn't have to work hard at all. It's going to be like natural, because I've said this so many times that when you fill your own cup and your cup is full, it'll naturally spill out to other people. When you don't feel like you have the energy to give to others and you still keep giving to others, whether it's your partner or anybody else, then you're going to start to feel depleted yourself. And you have to really be able to balance, taking care of yourself first, and then giving to others. It's like, it's like when you're in that, you start losing air, cabin pressure on an airplane, and they say, put your oxygen mask on first, before you even put it on your kid, because you're not going to be able to be any good if you lose consciousness. And, now you can't help anybody else, so it's the same principle. They're saying that you have to be able to, you're going to be lightening your load. You have to lighten your load. And what's happening right now is that you're being forced. Okay. It's gone on for too long. People were so busy in their lives. They didn't take time to pay attention what's going on in their lives. And a lot of people just stuck their heads in the sand. They knew that there were issues. They knew that they were, the relationships. Since we're going to talk about relationships, I'm going to make this more of a focus on a relationship. They were too focused on something else and they didn't pay attention to the relationships. And the relationships that they had, were, for some people, were just not, they didn't feel right, and they were toxic, and they just threw themselves into work or what have you, or other, things that weren't right, like for the, like toxic behaviors, in order to not have to think about it. It was kind of like one of those things that, was a temporary ignorance, I guess, to help them from not like falling apart completely. But now we're like being forced to really evaluate what's in our lives, what's working, what's not working. And any relationship in your life, you'll either cherish it more at this point, or you're going to actually really realize that there were things that weren't working about it. And it also forces you to go within yourself and see, like, how much love do you have for yourself? Like, why would you stay in something that was less than what you desired, or less than what is worthy of you? Really, it's not aligned with your soul. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, what, and I want to show you the card that fell out for me. It's called All That Glitters. It's about like what we see, like the false kind of sense of worth in a way, like when you're seeing something and it's not the truth. Because what I'm feeling, a lot of people, like, they're starting to question, like, because in a relationship, what makes you worthy in a relationship, how your sense of self-worth is really what's being questioned in many relationships. Because, as you said, like, for many of the divine masculine, their sense of worth was really that false foundation, that all that false gold. Like, they're being questioned as a provider. If you're not providing enough, or not providing, and giving everything about yourself, you're not a good provider. And that in your own self, you feel you're not worthy of being loved or being in a healthy relationship. And at the same time, it's what you expect others, how they see you, and others' expectations of you. So we're really questioning all that, and even for women, a lot of women, and not to be gender specific in things, but, and these are things that we, face anyway. For a lot of women, some women just devote all their energy and everything in their whole being to care for the children and the home, and to make their husbands or their significant others successful. And that's part of the imbalance as well, because they don't take care of themselves, and then they find themselves at a certain time, where did my life go? So and that's again part of the self-worth, and because part of you give and give and give because you think others are not going to love you for what you're, who you are or what you are. It's what you give is what makes you worthy, of being a good wife, or a good husband, a good lover, a good boyfriend, or a good girlfriend. So really, really going through that whole questioning of these foundations, and what's required from us by our society levels, by what our parents did in the past, and we're continuing these templates. Our parents had different kinds of lives. They lived in a different world, but now we're moving into a different shift in a different world. So it's that challenge, or that confrontation between what we grew up on and what we feel that this is, where we're heading. So really going through this exercise that, because I've had others, text me and say, like, what do I do now? Like, what do I do about my life? And like, when will my life start? That's a question that many are actually having. And it is a tough question at times, like when you are asking yourself and looking around you, and you've devoted your life or devoted years of your energy into others, into building that family or building these kinds of relationships, and you find yourself like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I'm lost, and I feel I don't have the time, or I'm getting older, I'm getting, or I've, devoted all my talents to just make sure that everybody else is okay, and I forgot myself. So again, it's part of these false kind of foundations, these material things that, I think that's the guides were really showing, the material things that are not really what's important in a relationship. It's not that we don't need money to live. We need the money to pay our bills and to live comfortable lives. So it's not really about that. It's about how you make the material or the money. It's like what really moves your family. what moves your life is that quest for more money, the quest for, I need to have a better car, a better home. It's like when you are dedicating your life for that, that's one of the burdens that we are really trying to heal, you know, with all these changes that we're going through.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, you know, showing this false self to other people. Like, it's not going to be about, you know, well, I need to portray a certain way. I need to show people, you know, how well I'm put together and how, you know, my family is perfect, how, you know, I have the perfect husband and, you know, he makes good money and we're just perfect people. Like, no, no, that's not what it's about. You know what? Because nobody is perfect, okay? You know, I mean, we are here to be perfectly flawed, okay? We are here and we are perfect just the way we are, but not kind of like that sense of, you know, there's nothing wrong, you know, this is, you know, we have no problems. You know, it's like hiding behind this mask, like you said. We're really being tested now. We're really being shown because, you know, I mean, I'm going to keep saying this, but I've already kind of gone through this, you know, and I've kind of gone through my own changes in my life and, you know, also had that foundation that kind of crumbled because at the time when I started my awakening, I started questioning a lot of things in my life. And, you know, when you brought up the family thing, yeah, I really existed for my family. I was the one who was always the one that, you know, and I worked too. So working and, you know, raising the family was my primary concern. I was second. I was always second. And that's the way I was raised. You know, it's always about somebody else first. You know, my needs and my wants and desires were always second. And I don't know, I woke up and I was just like, you know what? Tomorrow's not promised. I can actually find a balance to be able to fulfill myself and really find my true happiness and my true love, and also be able to commit to my family and raise my son and you know, make money and just balance the two. And I can tell you, when I didn't make it about, you know, when my focus changed more on me, my son had more prosperity, more love, more quality, right? It was more quality. It's not quantity, it's quality, you know, because how could I not give somebody else how I felt inside about, you know, how I felt inside? I wasn't drained anymore. I was full of life. I was full of passion. And that kind of trickles over into every relationship, in my work, in, you know, any creation that I chose to do, in my hobbies, you know, with my son, with my friends, with my family. And that's kind of where, you know, it's like I said, it starts within, it starts with yourself. But people are now starting to go with, I can imagine, with how you and I started out a while ago and started to really shift things and start to remove things. And no, it's not easy. It's not easy. And to be honest with you, in my own life, I didn't even know how to do it. Like, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. I know what I had to do. But it was very difficult because, you know, again, when you are so programmed, you know, to live a certain way, you really don't know sometimes how to, you know, kind of remove that, you know. And I feel that right now, the way it happened to me, it's like almost like I had no choice. It was almost like I had no choice. Like, I had a choice, but I really didn't. And I feel like right now, I feel like the universe is also giving that to the collective. You have no choice. I mean, you do still have a choice, but you really don't, because it's coming down to, you know, is your choice going to be to live the same life that you've had before, even though you understand that it really wasn't all that you thought it was? Or maybe, you know, you were just kind of going through the motions and, you know, you were still kind of miserable in a lot of ways and was trying to drown yourself with certain things? Or are you going to start seeing the truth of the situation and say, okay, you know what? this is going to pass. And once this passes, what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to continue to live that way, or am I going to change things? And how am I going to change things? You know, and as far as my relationships go, am I with the one that I want to grow old with? Am I going to stay with this person in the way it is? What have I figured out about myself? Are we compatible still? Like, are we in alignment? Is there true love there? So these are the questions that are, you know, probably already being asked, and, you know, moving forward are really going to, you know, give you the full flavor of how your relationships are going to be after all is said and done. You know, after we come off of this quarantine and we come out of, you know, this hibernation period in a way, you know, that is where the truth is going to lie. And I feel like the universe is giving that to people to really push them into shifts. And I think in a lot of ways, people aren't going to, you know, I say people are going to have a choice, but I think some people aren't going to have a choice, because I do really feel like some partners that are in karmic relationships, it's going to just way too difficult to stay in that kind of partnership any longer. That was based on conditional love. That was based in three-dimensional way of being. And it's going to be, you know, a matter of only going to really one person, really, you know, I mean, you can't force somebody to be with you, right? So I think that, you know, people are starting to wake up to the truth and about what is love about? What are we here for? I mean, really, like, when all is said and done, you can't take it with you to the grave, right? When we all go, you can't take your material stuff with you. You could take what's inside your soul. And if you don't feel fulfilled, if your soul doesn't feel fulfilled, your heart isn't feeling full, then none of this matters. Like, really, like, none of this is going to matter. It's not going to matter what you did in your life. You know, it's not going to matter how much money you made. It's not going to matter, you know, what kind of image you portrayed or how famous you were or any of that. If you really didn't feel it inside of you, what does it matter? It's not. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it is time where being in that kind of isolation means that there are no more distractions from going through these difficult conversations. And it's not necessarily you're going to be able to talk to another person, but even to talk to yourself, because sometimes when we're in these denial forms or distraction forms, you don't even say the truth to yourself. And once you actually start to say things to yourself about the truth of what's happening, this is when the change is going to come. You know, it's about being honest with yourself and being honest and brave enough to, you know, start talking in an honest way, you know, within your own field, within your own self, without even, you know, even before starting to talk to others. And I was pulling some cards. So the first one I got is To the Sea. And the second one is The Tribe. And the bottom of the deck is Come to the Edge. So this is about us following our own journey in a way and deciding to surrender to what our soul is really asking us to do at this time. If you're meant to follow your own path and step away from others around you, maybe that social template around you, it's pretty scary to step away, which is like, and you really have to come to the edge here and kind of take that leap of faith with, you know, with this, what this card means is taking that leap of faith, because you don't know really what's going to happen once you really say, you know what, I want to do something different than what's around me. And that's part of the templates that we are breaking through these walls or these kinds of foundations that it's like being in a castle. That's what I'm seeing. It's like being inside a castle that is locked down, and someone inside the castle decides, you know what will happen if I open the door and leave the castle and just go out to the wild? Like, everybody around you will look at you like, are you crazy? These are the comforts within that castle. Like, it's locked down, we're kind of fenced in, and you're safe and you're with everybody else. But there's just one person whose heart is telling them, no, I want to go and have an adventure outside of that castle. And people are going to try to tell you, no, that's not the right way. It is not good for you. You're going to lose, or you're going to fail. So, and because they are still in that fear, their hearts haven't opened enough to going towards that leap of faith. So it is really about that, about us breaking these walls of what could be in a relationship, because it's pretty scary when you have a family and you have children, or maybe you live with your parents, and you decide, I need to leave my parents' home and live by myself, or travel the world or something, or be in a different kind of a relationship, marry someone that I really, really love without having to be married to someone that I actually don't even love. Or, I mean, you don't have to hate your partner, but if your heart tells you that you want a different kind of partner, then it's pretty scary to think these thoughts, because everybody else will tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. And maybe for some people, they thinking about something else is them running away from facing, what they could have maybe healed in their connection with someone. But for some others, it's not working out at all. And no matter how much effort you put in it, it just doesn't work. And that's the sign, really, between things. If it's not totally working out, and no matter what you do, and no matter how much you try to heal it, it is not working out, and you come back to the same result, then that's kind of a sign that tells you that, yeah, it's something much bigger than that. The other card that came, also for me, is door to romance. So really, that's what I feel. That's what I've been speaking about, is like opening these doors in our hearts to actually feel love and to venture out towards our soul passion, what kind of passion we have. And it's really breaking ground, breaking some of the rules that we have and limitations that we have in our thoughts about what's possible for us. Even if you're single, a lot of maybe single people think that they're just gonna maybe take any kind of relationship because I'm not gonna find someone who loves me. If I meet someone today and that person just offers to love me and offers to marry me or something, and if I don't take that person, then I'm never gonna meet someone who I really, really care about and really feel that divine connection with. And that's part of the fear, that limited belief system. That, oh, you're getting older, you're not going to find, and that's in many cultures too, you're getting older, you're never going to find love, or something's wrong with you, that you're not paired with another. But what if your soul tells you that something else is coming for you? That's part of the fear as well, that you're breaking these rules and these walls that you think that these are the truth.
Right. It's when I pull these cards here, is the first one came up as strength. So if that taps into your message, is to, kind of really tap into that and understand that we are all strong and powerful beings here, that we inherently are, but the fear that we've had inside of us because of the conditioning and because of, the fearing the unknown and having to have control and feeling like you have to know what you have right now is better than what you don't know, and we have to kind of allow that to kind of break and understand that we're strong enough to handle things, that, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, look, in the best case scenario, what you would hope for is that if you are with somebody that you feel that you've drifted apart, and no matter how much you've tried to make it work, it just isn't there. The passion's not there. And I really do feel that your intuition will tell you, we actually just put out that video on intuition,
yeah.
How to tap into that, right? You will be guided. You will know, okay? You just kind of know. And I do feel like your passion, where is your passion? Your passion will direct you to the person that you are, aligned with. That if that passion has gone away, and you're just basically like roommates or just, friends, that's okay. You could stay friends, and you could stay, look, if you still want to live with the person, you could still live with the person, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a romantic connection with somebody else, as long as everybody's aware of it. Okay. Now people are probably going to say, oh my gosh, you can't do that. But listen, if you really keep an open mind, if for some reason you can't like have two households, okay, for financial reasons in the beginning, look, who's to say like you can't be with somebody else, as long as you are saying, okay, we're friends, we're raising our family together. This is the way, you know, we have to be right now, because, you know, we have to figure it all out. And we haven't figured it all out yet. Maybe it's time that we start to think about different ideas and how we can make, we could both be fulfilled, you know. And that doesn't mean you're being in a polygamous relationship, because obviously if you're friends, you're really not lovers as well. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You love this
Yeah.
other person in a friend way, because I have a lot of guys who are friends, but I would not be like kissing them or sleeping with them, because I have no desire for that. You know, I mean, I just have no desire. If the desire's not there, I don't force myself to do it. Same thing, you know, like if the desire isn't there to make love with the person that you're with, well, what are they? You know, I mean, so the relationships are going to shift. For some people, that might work. For other people, they feel like, you know what, you can have multiple households. We don't have to live under the same roof, but we could still raise our children together, or that kids are old and we could still come together for our holidays and whatnot, and be friends, and bring our partners, the partners that we're meant to be with, our, you know, true loves, together, and we could all like unite and be in a place where, you know, everybody feels love, right? Because I could say that I saw this, I think there was like this thing that was, I don't know if it was on the news or I read an article. I think it was a video that I saw about how this quarantine drove these people together. It was the ex, they had kids together, and then it was the ex wife and the ex and her husband and her kids had to live in the same house together with the other family. So all the kids, the two couples were together. And before that, I guess, you know, the relationship was like, you know, it wasn't like they were all like this, you know, friendly, but they felt like that was the best thing for everybody. Instead of like, you know, the kids going back and forth the households, you know, they just lived in one house. And they realized how much they had to give to each other. They realized how much love there was, and how much the kids were actually happier that they were able to share all their lives together. And not to say there weren't any challenges, and I'm not saying that's the way the relationships are going to head, because I think everybody's going to form their own whatever works for them. But isn't that such a great way of being, to actually feel that freedom? Excuse me, to be free, and to feel like everybody kind of is working together for a common purpose, and that's to be love, you know? And yeah, we had all these years together, and we may not be together like in a romantic way, but it doesn't mean that we can't share our kids together and be in a similar vicinity if it works for us. Because really, I mean, if you can make it work where you're actually still friends, I mean, that is like the best of both worlds, I think, you know. And I mean, personally, would not want to live with, you know, with anybody that it didn't work out with for me in the past, you know, would be like my ex. Personally, no, not for me. I'm not going to be in the same house, but I'm just saying it might work for other people. And I think that, you know, to actually be on friendly terms with the person that you raised, that you had kids with, you know, and that your kids see that, I think that's just such a great thing for them. And then the other card that came up is this one here. So when you were talking about the castle, this card came up. So perfectly aligned with that thought that you had. So conversation, the king and the castle, and it's opening your heart and being able to be open, you know, and not being afraid to open your heart. You know, I mean, I know it could be a scary feeling for change, and to allow love in, and the feeling that you might get hurt by somebody, you know, especially by somebody that you really love, that connection is truly there. Because there could be those feelings of thoughts of abandonment and rejection. What if this person rejects me? Or what if this person abandons me? And then I'm all alone. And then what I had before, at least it was better than being alone. But you have to be like, tap into that strength and realize that, you know what, it's going to be okay. That, you know what, in the way that we're shifting, in the way our energy is ascending, that if you are meant to be together and you are meant to grow together and be old together, that connection will never go away. That bond will never go away. That is a bond within yourself. Okay. And when you meet that person, that mirror image of you in a way, it is showing, they will reflect your true nature. And that person will never, it's not going to be like one of those, relationships that was based in karma, that was based in things that you had to heal. It's going to be based in true love. And this person is going to, shift with you and is aligned with you. And that feeling of being afraid that they may not be there one day, it's like you got to free yourself from that. You got to free yourself and just tap into that strength and inner knowing that you will know, your intuition will guide you to that true love. That you will know that this is the next phase of your journey, that it's actually a step up. Okay. I like up. It's coming, it's ascending, your own energy and your relationships with other people. And, the things that used to work before, the kind of relationships you've had before aren't going to work anymore. And you won't be attracted to that person. Your attraction will fade for that other kind of relationship, because that's not where your energy's at anymore. You're looking at, enhancing your relationship and fulfillment and passion and desire and attraction, and feeling good. Really, if you're not feeling good, what's the point? Like, you have to feel good with the person, and on so many levels, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, connection, telepathy. I mean, that all, like, just kind of knowing that the other person's thoughts and knowing their feelings without actually having to talk, like, that is a deep connection, and I feel like everybody's going to evolve to that, if they allow themselves to open their hearts up to that they will really evolve to that. And I'm not saying the people that you're with can't evolve to that level, but you will just know, just like, Naglaa was saying, like you were saying, like, you just, no matter what you did, it didn't work. It's like you're being pushed to come to the edge and take that risk and really follow your heart and follow your passions. And for so many people out there, they've already connected with the person. They've connected with somebody that they feel a deep connection with, but for one reason or another, they're not together. And they've kind of wanted to, they weren't ready for it. Let's just say that. They weren't ready. They weren't aligned in that kind of frequency yet, because they were still healing themselves and healing things like the rejection and the abandonment. But I feel like this is going to push those people who met, that form that connection, whether you want to call them twin flames, sacred partner, soulmates. This is bringing that, it's bringing them together, because they're really starting to recognize the ones who actually were still holding on to those old beliefs and old patterns and weren't opening up their hearts, really are finding that, again, it's like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're not sure even what's going to happen in 6 months. Do I want to live the rest of my days the way I'm living them right now, not being with the person that I truly love and connected with? Or do I really want to just, live to the max, live to where I'm supposed to be, and live to that level of fulfillment where I can honestly say, when I take my last breath, that I did everything. I did everything to fulfill myself and to be of service to other people. But you know what? I have no regrets, right? Because, if you actually think about it, this whole situation is really testing our, is really raising mortality, like not raising, like it's raising our thoughts about it, because so many people don't know if they get sick, are they going to live or are they going to die? Are they going to get really sick? And that could change their lives. That could be an awakening for them as well. And they get really sick and then they actually come out of it and they look at life a lot differently. But I think for a lot of people, they don't even have to get sick because they see what's happening in this world. And they see how it's so important to really, live life to the fullest, to your fullest extent. And if you've met somebody already that you've connected with and that you have desired on that romantic level, that there's nothing, there's really nothing that can stop you from going there, because again, it's, you know, you're on lockdown right now. You're kind of like, you know, you're in a place right now where you could be with that person. And wouldn't that be such a great place to be in, you know, to be with the person you truly love and that you're truly meant to be with, you know, and grow old with, and love that person and feel good, you know. So
Well, one of the things that when you were saying, talking about relationships and, you know, being able to have amicable connections after a relationship, that's a pretty hard thing to be able to open yourself up to that, because usually when a relationship breaks or kind of two people decide not to be together, it's one of them or both of them think there's something wrong with them. Why am I not? If one of them, especially if one of them decides to leave the connection or decides that's not for me anymore, then the other person usually ends up with all their ego, fears, and feelings, whether they're abandonment, jealousy, anger, feeling unworthy, and all these things become so triggered within us. That's why they, you know, in many relationships, one or the other, if it's not happening because I wanted it, then it just triggers all the egos. And we have to really work through these ego feelings and heal it so we can have that amicable or friendly kind of basis. And that's also hard to face, you know. Some people, you know, they get so scared, and again, I would refer to your strength card. They would feel, you know what, it's my comfort zone to be in this relationship, because what's going to happen next is going to be hell, you know, or it's going to be difficult, and I'm going to have a backlash, not only from, you know, your significant other, but from your family, their family, your friends, their friends. It's like you think about all these communities around you that are so connected to your personal relationship that it makes you think twice and three times and four times before even following your heart and following that calling. And it's true, like, you know, if you're in a relationship and I think when we were talking in our video about intuition, if it doesn't work, you know that it's not working. I mean, I will, from my own personal experience, and at least from my perspective, I felt that I spent years trying to heal things and to work towards making it a better connection, more balanced, more loving, and actually be more safe, even for me as a person to live in it. And I was very confused many times, and I always asked for signs from God, and I would get the sign the same next day, and it will be so clear I can't even say no to it. So even if you don't know if you're confused about your intuition, even in a relationship, and ask for signs from the divine, you're gonna know whether. And I know for me, like, I kept asking, am I supposed to work on it, or is it gonna work or not? Because I don't know what I'm gonna do. So you will get these signs and get this help from the divine within you. So, I mean, even if you're afraid, you're gonna get towards what's meant to be for you. But one of the cards that I found and I pulled is called the Fates, and the other card that came with it is Poised. Again, the bottom of the deck is the same card, Going to the Sea, which really, it means that we all have our divine destiny. We really have that divine destiny. And if a relationship is on the verge of whether it's breaking or whether it's going towards its better destiny, that it's actually being mended, then you'll know. We come to life knowing what experiences we're actually going to have, believe it or not. A lot of people don't think that they came making choices in these kinds of relationships, but we actually had a choice as a soul to come in and experience these interactions so we can heal more karma in our soul. So we're ready, like we're poised, we're ready to face more and to open ourselves for more expansion. And I believe, I think the question would be, how would I know if I'm in a good relationship or in a bad relationship? How would I know that my relationship with this person is codependent or based on ego versus what is really coming from the divine? And I feel it's really in one word. If you are expanding in your relationship, that's your key. If your connection to another person, your romantic partner, means that you're not changing in your own self, then that in a way has a lot of codependency and a lot of ego. But if you are in a connection with someone and you keep feeling that you're growing and your soul is expanding, your activities are expanding, your happiness is expanding, your self-belief, your self-worth, your idea about your own self is expanding, then that's a connection that is really aligning more with love and with unconditional love that God has blessed us with. And when you're meeting that specific person, that person, whether it's your twin flame or your sacred partner or that divine partner in your life, it's very challenging too, because you're meeting a perfect kind of a scenario about love. In a way, you feel home with that person, and you feel that that person opens up things in you you've never felt. It really, the thing is, it feels at times it's like total bliss. And you said like telepathy, you feel that that person knows what you feel without you even saying it. They have the ability to comfort you in the middle of a war zone, and they have that ability to understand you without judgment. So when you're feeling and you meet that person, or that person that opens that template for you, that unconditional love template being opened for you, it's challenging, because you still have to look at yourself in the mirror and see your ego, what stops you and what limits you from believing that you deserve this kind of a relationship. And whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're old, you're young, it doesn't matter. You meet that person when it's meant to be. You have to meet that person, and you should, at that time you're actually ready, that your soul chose that you're going to be meeting that person at a certain age or a certain time in your life. And it's hard sometimes, because your intuition and your heart is telling you specific signs about your connection with that person, but yet everybody else around you tells you that it's not right. You're imagining things. And I think that's really where we tap into that intuition side of us to tell us what's right and what's wrong, and to be our divine compass. And I love the way that we named our last videos. When you came up with that name, the compass, it is a compass, that divine connection, that intuition, telling us this is the right thing for you, because you keep longing for that feeling that you feel home, and you feel this total unconditional space, and you feel that you can do whatever, you can expand to wherever you want, and that person is just going to be doing the same thing with you. You're both going to bring the best out of each other, and you have this bond that no matter what happens on the outside, we've got each other's back, and even if you're not talking to each other, or your lives are kind of taking you physically apart, it's like you have that connection, like we both know the truth of who we are.
Right. So when you were talking about the possible pushback,
for love, but what is it about you? I'm sorry.
Sorry, you stopped talking, so I thought you stopped, and maybe it was there's some connection issues. So go ahead, keep going if you weren't done. Sorry. Do you have something else to say, Naglaa?
Yeah, I felt like I had a little bit of the connection here. I was just saying that, when you're in a relationship,
Oh, I think we just lost her. Hold on. I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I thought I lost you too, but it says it's like still recording, so I think we're okay. Kind of lost track of what I was saying, but we were talking about relationships and following your divine path, and what that mirror shows you in yourself and in others. So I feel that's, I lost my train of thought here, but I think we're keep going if you have something else that you want.
So I wanted to say, when you were talking about the possible pushback, from your family or your friends, you know, thinking that you're crazy for doing this. You've been with somebody for so long, you know, you built all this foundation, even though it's a false foundation. You have a family together, whatever. So this card, these two cards came up. This card came up first. So the Lover's card.
Oh, these are perfect.
Yeah. So it says, make choices from your heart, deeply emotional commitments, the power of love. And then the Nine of Raphael, which is like the Nine of Cups. And it's make a wish, dreams become reality, a joyful time of life. So I felt that in this time, things are this is a bit different than it was back in 2012. That we've come to a time where you actually, if you are going to make those choices from your heart and you know what's right for you, that you won't get as much of a pushback. People are going to be like, okay, you know, actually maybe it might spark those people in your life, like your friends, and maybe other family members or whatever, to do the same things that they actually didn't feel courageous enough to do. So I don't think that it's going to be as crazy as it was maybe a while back, because people are starting to understand that, you know, life is never promised. Like, this is a big wake up call for people that, you know what, you got to do what makes you happy. It doesn't matter. You got to live the life for you and not for anybody else around you. This is your life. And if you feel that it's not right in your heart, the relationship that you've been in, and it just wasn't right in your heart for a long time, and you start to step outside of that, you can't really worry about what other people are going to think or say, because really, if it's saying it right here, like, I just feel like, you know what, you're going to be supported by the universe if you make, and I've said this all along, but I really do hope people believe in this right now, that if you really follow your heart and you tap into that and you follow that intuition, that you will actually experience that joyful life. You will actually get all your wishes fulfilled. You will be supported by the universe, not only in emotions, but also material wise. So people who are afraid that they're going to lose everything, that, you know, that what they built in their retirement funds or what they've built as far as having, you know, assets together. Yeah, thinking about it probably will give you a headache sometimes.
Yeah.
Leave it to the person, you know, leave it to the person who's a professional. Let them help you. Let people help you, so you don't feel like it's all on your shoulders. Because I can tell you that, you know what, it is difficult to go through when you're going through it. It's not like fun stuff. It's things that you have to do. But I can say to you, once you're done and you've actually, you know, figured it all out and split things up, it's kind of like, okay, it's the start of your new life. You know, and I feel like the universe is going to support you more now than maybe it did a while back, because I feel like that it's going to actually show both partners where things weren't working, and they might be more accepting of it than they were maybe a while back, you know, where if this was brought up, like, you know, when I went through my process, it wasn't as accepting. But now that people are in a different place now that our earth is shifting to a higher vibrational state, and so is a lot of people here on earth, that people are actually going to, maybe there'll be more of an acceptance with it. And I do feel like that, you know, from what the cards are showing me, what I feel like Spirit was trying to say is that, you know, don't be afraid of that. Don't let that get into your decision-making ability, because as long as you're following your heart, it's like they're promoting that. They want you to follow your heart. They want you to find that happiness and that love and that fulfillment. And as long as you're tapping into that, that you will be protected and you will be supported by the universe. You'll be supported financially. You'll be supported with every tool that you need. But you have to believe. You have to believe that that is going to be the case. And allow the strength to come through, so you can actually live that. You can actually put those plans into motion. And the big thing is that you're not alone, and to not be afraid to reach out to somebody who's a professional, to reach out to somebody to say, how is this going to look? You know, what's my life going to look like? That might make you feel a little bit better. It may not make you feel a little bit better. I don't know. But you know what? It's going to look different than what you're used to right now. But you know what? Like we said, money isn't everything, you know, and the money you're going to be able to make back. And let me tell you, the way things are working right now, they're not going to be working against you. They're going to be working for you. So the way that we actually were accustomed to viewing money is going to be a lot different than what it was before. So you might as well just kind of like get used to it, you know, get used to like minimizing things, you know, actually being more in balance and minimizing the things and not having to feel like you have to have, you know, all these things to fulfill you, because you're not going to need them anymore. You're going to have what you need or what you desire in your life, but it's not going to be about materialism anymore. What's going to come first is going to be what's inside your heart. It's going to come from your heart first. And relationships are going to be a big thing. So once that is settled, everything else is going to fall into place, you know, because you're not going to need that, you know, you're not going to need to, you know, buy that Corvette to make yourself fulfilled or whatever, you know, because that's really plastic, right? It doesn't last long. It lasts for like maybe a week or two. And then it's like, okay, now what am I going to look at next? I'm going to get that handbag that makes me feel good. You know, it's like, you're not going to rely on that stuff anymore. It's not going to feel like that anymore. You're going to be more coming from heart. If you come from your heart, you're going to be supported. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have anything in your life. That it's actually the opposite. You're not in the scarcity mindset. You're in abundance mindset, because you took that risk, you took that step, you followed your heart. And you know what? If you feel full, if your heart feels full and you feel fulfilled, you have that abundance. Perfect example was me, you know, I mean, I felt like the universe kept supporting me, bringing me people into my life that were meant to connect with me, bringing the money forward, bringing the finances forward, having everything I needed. Like I actually was supported in my dreams. The visions that I had and being able to move from my old house to this house that I'm living in now is actually everything that I envisioned in a way. Like I envisioned the open floor plan. I mean, I envisioned a lot of things, and it happened. It just like kind of fell into my lap. And then, you know, and then this, you know, like wanting to live down the shore and having like being able to, you know, have a shore house. I'm like, I could never like thought like 10 years ago that I'd be able to do that all by myself, you know, and it happened because I feel like I'm living my life purpose. I'm following my heart. And you know what? I feel like the universe is supporting me because I'm meant to be there as well. Like I'm supposed to. I've met so many lovely people there, my neighbors, people that I'm connecting with, you know, and then I follow my intuition to go somewhere else, you know, and the people that I've met at my synagogue. And I just feel so full and my heart feels so full. And I just feel like, you know, I'm getting supported. You know, I don't have any really like, you know, sometimes the fear does pop up once in a while about certain things, but I think that, you know, it pops up and it goes away as quickly as it popped up. You know, I just think that it's, I want people to kind of hear that it's, you know, it's going to be okay. That if you follow your heart, you know, the fear is just going to kind of automatically start to dissipate, really, because you're opening your heart to love. And that is actually stronger vibration than fear. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you've explained it, you know, about the people around you will be more open now. I feel like part of it, they're really open because your energy has changed. Like many people, like if they were against it before, it's you make that change. Like once you really tap into your divine power, your strength, you really keep trusting more and more of yourself, then others around you have nothing to do except to accept you for what, because you really believe it. It's like you know, in some cases, your confusion and your like back and forth makes people around you really more worried about you, because you know you have good people around you, not necessarily they're bad people. They people who love you, care about you, and in their perspective, they think in their mind what's best for you. But when you are moving with strength and moving more and more using your intuition and following the divine steps that are being open to you, you like with every step, as maybe can be difficult at the beginning, but then you keep going through your fear, and then you go through that fear and it makes you even more powerful, even more stronger, and you keep going through that path. By the time you're ready maybe to step out of that castle, that fence, your energy is so strong that they can't really stop you because they, you know, you're capable of going through that step. And the card that I pulled is Archangel Raguel. It's clairsentience. Notice your recurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So, you know, you're going to be giving those feelings, and you're knowing that feeling, how you feel about things, to give you that, to open that door for you, what you really need to do, whether to work on a connection or work on a relationship, or whether to really step away from it because it's not going to work. You're meant to be in a whole new divine path. And it's interesting because you said the universe is going to support you. At the bottom of the deck is hello from heaven. It's Archangel Azrael. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. This is really a card of the universe, and your spirit guides, your God energy, that you are being supported. Like once you follow what you feel, you're gonna get that support. So that's an absolute confirming exactly what you're saying. Is as hard as the steps might be, but you're gonna get these miracle people coming into your life, miracle support, miracle finances, things that you've never experienced or expected, coming to help you to make that step. And you can maybe go through your egos or being afraid, but if you keep going, this is when you're gonna surpass that fear, surpass that challenge and limited belief, because it's really a limited belief system. It's your own fears, and some of them may not even be physically even there. It's just how you feel. You're afraid to do this because maybe someone might say this against me, or someone might do this against me. It's really in your head. A lot of it is really in your head. You build these ideas of what maybe you grew up with, maybe your religion or upbringing make you think in a specific way. So in a way, it is exciting to see how many relationships are going to change. Some are going to change apart from each other, and some are really their bond is going to really deepen, which is great. You know, it's not really advertising the idea of a divorce or being separate from your family. It's really about following your heart, your divine intuition coming to you. If the intuition coming to you tells you, no, keep going, keep maybe changing things about yourself, maybe that's what making your bond with your soulmate or your partner grow apart. So there's a way to actually help yourself and keep your family together. But for some others, you know that in your heart from the beginning it wasn't going to work. So and that's the thing about many of the relationships, because they start based on fear, based on an ego decision. This person maybe have more money, or she's beautiful, maybe I should marry her. You know, all of these different ideas, or maybe our families are good together, so maybe we should just marry because it's the family making the decision, an arranged marriage, or it's just what's meant to happen for you because whatever, money or interests, or, you know, what made you decide on that marriage or that commitment, it's not there anymore. Like, you know, it from the beginning, you usually have an idea that's going where it's going. And then again, being honest and being truthful to yourself, really where you can make a change, or you need to step away or actually step into it further. Like really put your heart really in that connection to make it work. Or your heart tells you, like, I'm supposed to be another partner, totally another person. And that doesn't make you a bad person either way. It makes you follow whatever you're meant to follow. This where you're meant to spend more of your energy for whatever was on a wrong foundation anyway. Usually from the beginning, we know where that's going to head. But some have great partners, some great soulmates. But, they're not really putting a lot more effort in healing themselves so they can be better lovers for their really good partners for them. I think it's pretty interesting times we're going through. It's eye-opening for many, but for those on the path, maybe a twin flame or a sacred partner path, it's true, we've been working on that for years, and not to make us better than others, but we kind of, came into this life to open up more and more for others, open up the way for others, because we keep healing so many templates that are between us and between our divine partners, like whether we're healing age difference, religion, ethnicities, and cultural things, economic differences. The more we keep healing these, we keep opening up these templates for others to be able to break their own fears and to choose what's best for their hearts and what's best for their souls, to be aligned with a divine vibration or a much higher vibrational connection. is more expansive for you.
Right. So I think we're gonna probably like maybe start ending this, because the connection seems like it's like laggy right now, and I don't know. So one more thought that I just wanted to say is your relationships with other people will be mirrored, and it really reflects the relationship you have within yourself. You have to have a good relationship with yourself first and foremost, because no matter who's in your life with you, you can only have it as good as what you have within yourself. So for me, I mean, I'd rather be alone than be with the person that is not really meant for me or doesn't reflect the relationship I have with myself, because I feel that my relationship with myself is reflecting a true unconditional love. And I can't just have somebody in my life that I have to fake it with. Like, it's got to be real for me. And and I've kind of grown. I've grown, and I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm very different. And I continue that relationship with myself, because it's a constant, it's a work in progress, that we're not just going to reach this one point and that's going to be it. We're constantly growing. So, but when you're with the person that you're meant to be with, like, you know, with that fates card, you know, it's fate, it's destiny. It's the person that you're meant to spend the rest of your life with in this kind of energy, that, you know, you are going to be, you know, everything's just going to feel like home. It's going to feel right. It's going to be, everything is just going to kind of like, you know, come together, and it's not going to really feel like work. It's like when you go to work, so like when you go to work and you actually enjoy your job, it's not really work, is it? It's like really not work. So it's going to be the same. And I'm not saying there's never going to be like a conflict or an argument or anything like that, but I could tell you that the makeup's going to be worth it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I just don't think it's going to be anything that, you know, I mean, I can tell you from my own perspective is that you can't really stay mad at somebody like for a long time with that person that you truly love. Yeah. Like, really lasts. Like, it barely lasts a minute, to be honest.
1 minute. Like, I'm angry for 1 minute. I'm upset for 1 minute. Smile. It's really like all you need is a smile, look into their eyes, and you know what? I'm done. Yeah, well, I can't be mad now.
So I just wanted to say that. So I feel like it's going to be, I'm like, you know, it's going to be I feel like it's going to be very different. And I feel like, you know what, this is what like we've been preparing for. You know, we've kind of, you know, healed a lot of things for the collective. And I feel like we've kind of forged that path ahead. And it's going to be bringing a lot of light to people, you know. And it's hopefully going to bridge those gaps, you know, the ones that, you know, had some resistance still, you know, that they were still having some fears. And I hope that, you know, those fears are going to be lessened, and they might not be like 100% gone, but it's going to give you enough courage and strength to be able to move beyond those. And the more that you actually tap into that, the more that you dissolve your fear. You know, it's kind of do stuff that's uncomfortable. And, you know, the more you do that, the more that you do things that you're afraid of, the more the actual, you know, you're kind of like destroying that fear. So I don't know if you have any last words you want to say.
Last words. Hopefully we'll have more words coming up in a new video. I feel like, and I feel like even those sacred connections, those divine connections, a twin flame or a divine partner connection, even those are changing now. It's not just the other kinds of relationships that need to raise their vibration, but even your connection with your twin flame or your divine partner is changing, because we're working with a different kind of, the world is different. So even if you are not physically talking or just only telepathy, your connection with them is definitely going to be different. Like, even if you with the physical communication or physical coming together, it's not going to be based on the old templates or the old way that you were connecting with that other person, because we've healed so much of what really prevents us from being open to these kinds of unconditional love commitments and unions. So we're gonna start working in a different way. Like, we're gonna be more open to each other, open about what we are and who we are to each other, and what it really means. Like, if someone wasn't really putting all their beliefs behind such a union, or such a union of two people, then they're going to be finding themselves more open to, okay, what do I need to do to make this work now? Like, I feel more of a playful energy coming in, more of a, like, okay, so what do we do now? It's like there's a more excitement coming in between the divine partners about how they're going to, okay, how we're going to work it out now. Like, what can we do to make this what it should be, a blissful connection and union between two people, or two families, or two households. So it's pretty exciting time. We're looking at things in more mature way, more grown up way, because we all used to have, we were acting from our inner child most of the time, and now we're going to be more mature about it and more grown up about it, if we're going to call more wiser about it. So I feel that's my last words for this video.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it was nice talking and flowing, and things that came out and were said. I guess they just it wasn't forced. So I'm glad we are able to share this information to everybody. And for everybody who's listening out there, we'll put all our information at the bottom of the video again. And we really appreciate you guys, and thank you for listening. And feel free to subscribe to our channels or whatnot, and reach out to us if you have any further questions or comments. So, all right.
All the support, and everybody supporting us with with our work and our own groups and Facebook and all that. It's such a blessed thing to have your love, and for you to be listening to us and being part of our lives.
Yeah. Yes. All right, guys. Have a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right. And anybody who celebrates Easter, happy Easter, happy Passover. Is there any other holidays coming up for people?
I'm going to be going through my fasting month coming up, so that's going to be another video for that.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.